I thought I was done, you know? I thought I had found the absolute worst movie based off of a video game out there, courtesy of one Uwe Boll, when I encountered something that blew it out of the water completely. You see, here on Screen Time, I don't just do game reviews, but I take into account all video game related media, be it TV shows, comic books, crappy action figures, or big screen film adaptations, especially the films. Now, after seeing such cinematic winners like House of the Dead, Prince of Persia, and Alone in the Dark, I was comfortable in the fact that, as low as this burgeoning young genre could go, how could you get any worse than Boll's trademark style of not giving a dog's ballsack about the film you're currently making?
I'm Uwe Boll. I make movies.
How could a movie not only be able to go up from there?
Rudolph! Stop! Get on the ground!
Oh, people of the interwebs and related dimensions, how could I have known just how wrong I was? So here we have what I crown the single worst movie based on a video game made to date, The King of Fighters. And yes, I saw House of the Dead 2. This is worse.
The dead will walk the earth again.
Slightly. This film is a perfect example of everything that you can do wrong while making a film. Every aspect of this movie is irredeemably flawed and forces the audience to question why this thing was even made.
Don't all answer at once.
Didn't the parties involved realize the travesty of this production?
This is not fun anymore.
Is this film definitive proof that there is a hell, and that this film will be continually screened there, along with All About Steve and the parts of Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, with just Shia LaBeouf in them?
And stronger.
First, a little background on the game series, and a quick bit of disclosure. No, nothing as dramatic as the source of that odoriferous rash on my lower back, the one that looks like Christine O'Donnell winking. Before we start, I just wanted to explain that there's only really one character from the SNK universe that I actually use. Fatal Fury's Terry Bogard. So I don't really care about most of the King of Fighters games beyond him. And for reasons I shall soon explain, fellow Fatal Fury character Mike Shiranui. Sure, the concept is neat, but I was always a Capcom Namco kind of guy. SNK was that weird third option that hung out at your best friend's party and stood in the back corner, staring at the bowl of potato chips, but never taking any. Anywho, the concept of King of Fighters started in SNK's Fatal Fury Special in a little bonus stage called the Dream Match, wherein you could fight against Ryo Sakazaki from the Art of Fighting franchise. This idea ballooned into a 3-on-3 team fighting tournament featuring SNK's trademark fighters and a host of other random people like the memorable Korean fat guy, progressively homosexual Japanese youth, midget Freddy Krueger, and Jay Guevara. The King of Fighters games worked for a while because the idea of having 3 characters instead of just one added variety to the matches, and having just one to the death contest instead of a best of 3 rounds approach kept the lines moving at the arcades pretty quick. Then, as most over-sequelized franchises do, they got too big and added too many options and features until the game was just a big confusing mess. King of Fighters 12 rebooted the series with new hand-drawn graphics and a simplified roster and movesets, but disappointed most gamers, i.e. me, by taking things back a little too far. Back to the festering ass wound back to the movie. The King of Fighters, known by his fans as KOF, whatever fans they have left after this movie and the disappointing reboot, and ignoring the fact that it is a motion picture based on a fighting game, gives you your first red flag in the opening credits. How many production companies worked on this thing? If you have more than 3 in a distributor, as a rule of thumb, trouble lies ahead. King of Fighters has 8. This also makes it difficult to know where to direct the lion's share of the blame. Let's start with what I would have to call the most immediate flaw of the film.
May I help you?
Casting. Now, I assure you that I'm not racist, But when I see a character I happen to know is Japanese, I kind of expect him to look, I don't know, Asian? Unless there's some kind of mitigating circumstance, like they were adopted or their wandering spirit is possessing the body of some pasty, whiny white kid.
Should you tell me about my father that I don't already know?
Instead, inexplicably, the producers of this cinematic turd bullet thought it was best to cast Sean Ferris, the whitest of white guys, to play Kyo Kusanagi, probably the second most well-known Japanese fighting game character behind Street Fighter's Ryu. Even the other actors in the movie can't buy the idea that this kid is supposed to be Japanese.
I'm his son, Kyo Kusanagi.
Son. I didn't realize.
Now you can try to argue that's because of the photo implying Kyo had a Caucasian mother, or in most of the game art he kinda looks Caucasian, but nah, not buying it. This is just a horrible production decision. Even in the flashbacks that Kyo has in the film, he appears as a proper Asian-looking youth.
Wow, this just keeps getting better and better.
And speaking of Kyo, why is his father in an institution in Boston if he lives in Seattle? How many takes did the nurse need before she could pronounce Saishu Kusanagi?
You want to talk to Saishu Kusanagi?
None of this makes sense, and I get the feeling they didn't even try to make it make sense. If that makes any sense. And that's the main character here, a kid we have doubts about from the get-go. On the topic of casting, let me jump on the film's villain, played by English actor Ray Park.
There he is.
Now, Ray Park's big break came from when he won the role of Darth Maul in Star Wars The Phantom Menace, best known for using a big, staff-like double-edged lightsaber. Being English, he has a very noticeable accent.
I can't think of anyone else who'd appreciate what I'm doing more than you.
Yes, he was dubbed over in Star Wars, and he's not a very tall guy either. For those of us who have played the games, or at least Fatal Fury, there is a character in this universe he seems perfectly set to play. So let's do a little logic test here. English guy. Uses a staff, or one might even stretch it and call it a cane. Not exceedingly tall. Really can't stress the English or staff cane thing enough. So Ray Park must have been cast as Rugal, the 7-foot-tall badass of the King of Fighters series. Wait, what? This wasn't filmed in the cheap part of Canada now, was it? Maggie Q plays Mai Shiranui, who is best known for, well, I'll be blunt here, best known for her large, heaving, jiggling connections to the Fatal Fury franchise. Maggie Q, as much as I love her from other performances, is completely wasted here in a character so different from her game roots that she might as well be playing a completely new character.
Shit. You gotta be kidding me.
And what about this guy? Okay, so remember when I told you about my hetero man love for Terry Bogard? When I saw that he was actually in the movie, I began to worry, but this David Leitch guy, whom I assume shot his scenes during his lunch break from Staples, is just too old. Even as they completely rewrote the character to be a CIA agent instead of a wandering fighting genius.
Terry Bogard, CIA.
They at least got his ethnicity right, but not his hat. In fact, the only saving grace in the entire cast is Bernice Liu, who plays Vice, and not for her quality of acting, but because she at least resembles her character. Well, looking at her a little closer, she really doesn't, but she's still hot, so I forgive her.
Oh, here we go with the dimensions bullshit.
Dimension. There's only one dimension.
Dimension. Nobody travels to another dimension and fights in underground tournaments. It doesn't happen.
Thank you.
Round 2.
Ready. Game over. Continue.
Brutality.